Hello, and hi there. Welcome to the I'm an Expert at Nothing But Myself podcast. Well, I'll be bringing my own life experiences and trying to make sense of them. I guess call it making cool lemonade out of dry citrus. Well, humor aside, I'm a sucker for good conversation. I could arguably have a fat chat the whole day. With that being said, very loosely, my point is I appreciate human interaction. This podcast brings exactly that, the importance of human interaction. Invite my voice and the voices of my guests into your living room, your lounge, your car, your AirPods, or you know what, wherever you find yourself, and fully immerse yourself in hearing me, quote unquote, figure it out. Enjoy. Let's get into it. Right. Hello, and once again, welcome to the I'm an Expert at Nothing But Myself podcast. If you recall, maybe let me help you understand, but for those who managed to listen to last week's episode, just be mindful that was part 1 and this is part 2, and this is where it ends. Do not worry, there's no part 3, but I guess if you are greedy and want more, sorry, there isn't a part 3. So basically, in a nutshell, Lara and I just continue from where we left off, and that is exactly just about it. So enjoy. All right, cheers folks. I think I believe yesterday you mentioned the ICC, and then we were trying to figure out wait, it's the ICJ that you...
ICJ, yeah. I also thought of it afterwards. I was like, ICJ, not ICC.
Yeah, not ICC. Two different things. And I believe on Friday we'll be finding out something. I just saw briefly on News 24. I didn't read the article. But I don't know. There's some big news coming on Friday.
Big news, yeah.
So I think that I need to get in the middle of this real quick, just in the beginning, and quickly just interject, right? And my reason for this interjection is just so that I can mention what happened. So I think we both, by both I mean the parties listening and I, know that the ICJ is the International Court of Justice, and I'm just looking for an article from a very credible source, just to let you know what is the thing that Lara and I were talking about when we kept on saying big news on Friday. Anyway, here's an article from Al Jazeera from the 26th of Jan 2024, and titled ICJ rules Israel must prevent acts of genocide in Gaza. Key takeaways. Right. The International Court of Justice, ICJ, has delivered its highly anticipated interim ruling in South Africa's case against Israel over alleged genocidal acts in Gaza. Here are the highlights of the provisional measures ordered on Friday by the court in the case that has drawn global interest. Heading: Genocide Prevention. The World Court ordered Israel to take action to prevent acts of genocide as it wages war against the Hamas group in the Gaza Strip. Okay. In the ruling, 15 of the 17 judges on the ICJ voted for emergency measures that covered most of what South Africa had asked for, with the notable exception of ordering a halt to Israeli military action in Gaza. Israel's military operation has laid waste to much of the densely populated... Wait, let me see. Okay, this jabba, not to say it's not important, but the whole point of this, no ceasefire. So the court stopped short of calling for an immediate ceasefire less than 2 years ago in March 2022. It had ordered Russia to, whatever. Now, this is a criticism on the ICJ, but let's not go there. We're not trying to enter another different hole. But yeah, basically, in a nutshell, if I had to quickly sum it up, South Africa got half got what it was looking for, and also half didn't get what it was looking for because there was no ceasefire. But nonetheless, our case was really strong. Our being South African, I'm South African. Ta-da! Anyway, let me not bore you. Goodbye. Regarding the whole trial that has been going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be world-changing news, I guess, whatever happens.
Yeah. So unfortunately, obviously, yesterday, we, in the middle of us recording, load shedding, and then I had my babysitting gig, and then came back.
And we were on a roll.
I was on a roll yesterday. I didn't even get an opportunity to relax, because I worked out in the morning, and then I was busy with other work, and then what happened? And then lunchtime, and then immediately after the lunchtime we started recording, and then load shedding, and then babysitting gig, come back, have a moment just to sit down, just to eat, and then I look at the time, load shedding again. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's no winning today.
Oh well, we're here today.
Yeah, it was a really busy day. From the topics that we covered yesterday, if you remember anything, is there anything that you'd like to touch on just a little bit, or even more? Yeah. I
think the current primaries happening in the United States at the moment, that's important to touch on. I mean, we're looking at a Biden-Trump contest. And I'm trying to follow the Nikki Haley versus Trump thing, because I know some people like yourself are like, okay, well, Trump, it's probably going to be Trump again.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to follow and see if there's any potential of Nikki Haley being the nominee. Not that I think she'd do much more than he did, but I'm just quite interested to see if the people still align with him after, everything that happened. But apparently they do, so he's leading at the moment.
I was watching Al Jazeera the other day, and I was obviously looking at the polls and stuff. Mm-hmm. And yes, he is leading. You are correct. Mm-hmm. I have an issue with Nikki Haley because I started looking into her to see whether Republicans actually have any good leaders in there or something. I don't know. At this point, I don't really know what defines what a good leader is. I mean, you did define, but and I was looking into Nikki Haley, and the first thought that came to mind was that, okay, cool. It's clear that she's already lost the voters of people of color, for sure.
Yeah.
That one is evident. Or let's just call them minorities.
Yes, yeah.
For sure. She's lost them. And I mean, she has so many things against her. So, okay, first of all, let it be very clear. It's America. If I'm not mistaken, America's never had a female president, right?
No, they've never had one.
Correct. And
Unfortunately. But maybe she's not the right person. So
that's the thing. Like, she has so many
Yeah.
things against her. Like, I feel like, okay, cool. You already have something against you. That being, America just hasn't had a female president, and when they do have female candidates, the first thing against them is the fact that they're female. It's America.
Yep.
And then
100%.
just to add on top of the other layers, like, her sense of reasoning is very questionable. I'm like, wait, you already have something against you. Like, and then on top of that, your sense of reasoning. And then on top of that, you are failing to identify with the fact that you come from an Indian family. You're failing to acknowledge that Nikki Haley isn't your name.
Exactly.
Like, you're telling people that the things that you should be discussing, or the things that you should be attacking immediately when you are the president of the United States, it's very clear and evident that when you're campaigning, you're not even touching them. Like, she is living in La La Land, and I don't know, she's lost it, in my opinion. But apparently, like, it does. It's very important whether someone comes out second or third. So she's still, contesting to come out second.
I mean, but there's only 2 people in it now, basically, in the Republican.
Or did someone drop?
Yeah. I don't know how you say his name. DeSantis, or I don't really know.
He
dropped out.
Oh, okay. I missed something then. Okay, cool.
And then he endorsed Trump. So that gives her even less of a chance.
Yeah, I honestly don't think she has a chance at all.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm already living in a world where it's Trump versus Biden.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's a reality that not many people want, but I'm just being realistic here. It's not...
No, that is realistic. That's... Yeah. I mean, I'm almost certain that's what's going to happen. Unless some type of catastrophe happens and Trump loses or Biden loses. But, I mean, that's what it's going to be.
I see Biden losing.
I mean, that's kind of a trend in American politics where, like, they flip-flop from Democrat to Republican, because the other party can use the previous term to, like, jump off of and say, oh, look, I can do that better than that, than the Democrats, or I can do that better than the Republicans did that. So I feel like it is kind of a trend. Obviously, they usually go for 2 terms and then they switch, or, but I mean, he's Biden, we know Biden. And I think what's interesting for me about the Democrats at the moment is, like, I feel there's not much coming from the other nominees. I feel like all the major newsworthy things are coming from the Nikki Haley versus Trump contest, even though that's not as closely fought as, what it should be.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's lost, and I don't want to see her in the eyes of media again.
It's just funny because I had a friend who loved her.
Really?
And we always clashed. Like, we always clashed about it. And it was during Trump's presidency, and she always said, I love Nikki Haley. And so I've known her for a while. But obviously, for me, she's also a flip-flopper. She endorsed Trump, she loves Trump, and then, she hates Trump when it's, convenient. But, I mean, I know politicians do that a lot.
Yeah.
Depending on, like, what they want or what they're trying to gain from a situation. But, yeah, I think I think the major difference between them is that she would want to join NATO and Trump doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So... But other than that, they kind of have similar policies, but I think Trump is obviously what the people want.
You know, there's a similarity that I see in USA and South Africa, which I find very interesting. That being, it seems that, okay, for example, in South Africa, it seems that the ruling party, cool, and American politics in general, they are able to speak to the illiterate masses. And sometimes I think that if a society is full of people who aren't like critically engaged with the politics around them, ultimately those will be the results that you are faced with. So the mess that you see in South Africa and the mess that you see in the United States of America, I don't know, I could be wrong. This is just like my own theory, where, because like there's so many like Americans who are just not educated. Same here in South Africa. A lot of people who are not, educated. And education doesn't necessarily mean walking into university, getting a degree and walking out.
No.
Exactly. There's another level of education that I don't know, I see like countries like, I think countries like Switzerland, countries like Germany, countries like Denmark, and to a certain extent, I'm not too sure, Canada, but I just say that loosely, so let's just keep that at bay. Such countries, their citizens are really engaged to the point where you can't fool them.
Yeah.
And I think politicians in South Africa and politicians in the United States, they know how to manipulate the masses being those who are not educated.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. And they do it so well. Really, really well. I mean, just to bring it closer to home, I was listening to DA's leader.
We're not mentioning him by name.
No, go for it. I just forgot his name. I forgot his
John
name.
Steenhuisen.
Yeah, Steenhuisen. I was listening to him. He was campaigning, and I was just listening to him. Surely everyone. How are you guys buying this? Like, I'm like, no, man, no.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. He's cringy.
Yeah, he's
sometimes.
He's really cringy. But then I think now's the perfect opportunity to bring it closer to home, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's, you know how I feel with John Steenhuisen, and recently about all those things that were said in the media, or he said on a podcast or something.
Just fill me in.
Where he compared his wife to roadkill.
Wait, what? Wait, whoa!
Do not.
I missed this. Which podcast is this?
I can't remember the podcast, but he called his wife roadkill, and he said, I think something along the lines that she's flat like a chicken, or something really just derogatory, terrible. And as far as I know, he's cheated on this wife.
Oh, okay.
So, and he has 2 children with this woman.
Yeah, I saw one of he's... And yeah.
It just kind of paints a picture in people's minds. Okay, this is your character. You know, with how we deal with gender-based violence in this country, and you want to go on a podcast that's, you know, everyone in South Africa could listen to, and then say that about your wife, you know, or your ex-wife. I don't know what the situation is at the moment. Kind of paints a really negative picture. And I was interested because I told you the one time that I saw he was polling really badly with white women.
Yes, I remember you said
and
that.
I was like, that's interesting, you know, like, why white women specifically? So I looked into it, and I couldn't really find a definite answer other than this podcast and how people were saying that shows his character as a man, and that's not our leader. And sorry, this is kind of off the topic of, like, you know, appealing to illiterate masses. But I just thought, if we're on the topic of John Steenhuisen, that is something I've seen in the media that is a huge concern for people. And I know it's like, okay, well, I'm on a podcast. I'm going to try and make, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. It's nothing too deep. But I think it kind of says a lot about him. It's just an interesting thought.
No, it is an interesting thought, because you've touched on something that I look at when I listen to lead. I mean, obviously, like, these people are trained to speak in a particular way when they are in the eyes of media, whatever, right? But those are, one of the things that I look at a leader's character, especially when, like, he's dropped his guard. And I think more politicians should be on podcasts.
Definitely.
That's when they drop it. I promise you. That's
when the PR lady's not there.
Yeah, like that's when they drop their cards. Like that's where when they are like closest to at least being themselves.
Yes, give them a beer, put them on a podcast.
100%.
And I mean,
yeah.
Do you know that guy that he's on a radio station in Joburg? I can't remember his name. He does podcasts with most of the major politicians, if he can get them on.
Is it the guy with the beanie?
Yes.
You
know the one?
Yeah, no, the guy who puts like 3 beanies on.
Yes, that guy.
Philip, apparently he went to Rhodes. Apparently, I'm not sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I know who exactly you're talking about.
Is his name Dan or something? No.
I don't know, and I follow him on TikTok.
Yeah.
Brain fog, whatever, but him, yeah.
Yes, we know the guy. And, like, he had Herman Mashaba on, and, I feel like he would be a good guy. I don't know if he's already done it. I don't think so. I mean, Steenhuisen, haven't seen him on his podcast, but he should get Steenhuisen on.
I'm pretty sure he's tried to invite him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But decline.
Probably, probably for Steenhuisen, he's too liberal for him.
Probably.
Yeah. But, okay, cool. With that being said, then, you have an issue with Steenhuisen.
Yeah.
That's, I do too.
Yeah. And I've said it. Like, I've said it to everybody who's asked me, because obviously there are discussions about who should we vote for.
Yeah, precisely, yeah.
I have a problem with him. He's not my leader, personally.
Yeah.
So, voting for him would seem like, a little bit insincere. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem... He hasn't really put himself in a position where I'm like, that's my leader. That's who I want to vote for.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Now, you like one of the few South African citizens that I know who are fully engaged, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to see your country fall apart, and therefore you do that by exercising your right to vote.
Yes.
Cool. Now, Lara, what are your options then?
Gosh, this is what I've been pondering for the last 3 months or so. Obviously we've got the main parties, and I feel like voting for a very small party, I want to say everyone should vote for who they want to vote for.
Yeah.
It's very unfair to say, you have to vote for a big party because, they're the only ones that count. But I think for me, I have to look at it from a strategic angle.
Okay.
And I won't be voting for a small party that doesn't get a seat.
In Parliament.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
Things have been mentioned to me, like people always joke around and say, the Dacha party and this party. And I'm like, if you're going to vote for them, then I feel like, okay, do it. Like, it's obviously your own right to do that. But it feels like you just, maybe you're not looking at the whole political landscape. So for me, I don't know. And I feel like many South Africans are in the same position where you just don't know what to do. But I did some research on like the 5 kind of scenarios that it could happen.
Okay.
And what was interesting to me is with all 5 scenarios, it probably will be still like an ANC-led government.
Yeah.
You know,
I see
Cyril
that happening.
will still be the president.
Yeah, that one I fully see happening.
Yes. So I feel like maybe, I don't know if you've heard it as well, but I've heard from a lot of white South Africans that, oh, if the EFF come into power, I'm out. Like, I'm leaving.
I think...
Like, I've heard it.
Listen,
Trust me.
when I hear such things, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't fear EFF ever coming into power. I kid you flipping not. That, because hear me out, it won't happen. I always tell people, it won't happen. Trust me.
Yeah.
Not anytime soon.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I say.
And when I hear people say that, I'm like, no, you're clearly not engaged with politics in South Africa.
I know, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
because some of the people mentioning this are my family members.
I'm like, people, it won't happen. Calm down.
Exactly. And I'm just like, what's worrying is like, so I have some distant family members, and they'll tell like some other people in my family, look, the EFF's about to come into power and we have to get out, because that's a common thing amongst white South Africans is the EFF will be the end of white South Africans. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that.
You know,
so they're super worried about that.
You know, here's my thing. With regards to the EFF, a lot of people might find the EFF problematic or whatever you want to call it, but I say we need parties like the EFF in South Africa. That doesn't mean when I say that, it doesn't mean I'm going to vote for the EFF.
Yes,
but we definitely need a party like that. We need a party that shakes the table a little bit. And you need a party that unapologetically questions the ruling party with no shame, with no shame whatsoever, right?
Exactly.
It's clear that they're not sleeping in the same bed. I'm like, there we go, right?
Exactly. And I think, sorry to butt in, but I think I was told when I was in school, in high school, I had one teacher that was like, Julius Malema is a great politician. And everyone, you know, all the white people in the class were like, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah.
It was coming from a white woman, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, I can't believe you said that. But it's actually true. He is able to do what a politician, you know, he's able to... I mean, his party has grown substantially since it was created. I think it was created in 2014. We're 10 years on. And look how many votes they're getting.
Exactly. And seats in parliament.
Exactly. Exactly. And they are on the news and they're there and everyone knows them and they've entered the South African political landscape and they're like, we're here. Whereas other small parties, there was a party that was created the same year, and I remember, and it was created by, I think, some ex-chancellor or something of a university, I can't remember. And she didn't even get, like, well, that party's ended. Like, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, look, there was a gap in the landscape for this party. We've got so many parties, but Julius Malema was able to see that there was a huge gap for something like the EFF. And that's a really smart move.
Exactly. So I'm with you. And I mean, a lot of the things that like he'll speak about and a lot of things that he'll challenge, I'll agree with him. And I'll be like, you know what, I agree with you. And people say like, oh, so are you anti-white? I'm like, no, hold on. Whoa, pause. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. But so, like just listen to what he's saying.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I don't know if you saw my WhatsApp post from a few days ago.
Maybe.
The one with Julius Malema, where he was speaking about not taking like an issue that's bigger than you and making it personal.
Okay, I can't say I saw that.
It's the one about racism. It's the one whatever. He was making an example when he was saying that if I say that there's racism in the country, and you say, I'm not a racist, he says, no one is talking about you. We're saying there's a huge systematic issue in South Africa. That being racism, I mean, there's so many systematic issues, right? But to take something that's bigger than you, it's like, for example, you say, let's say, okay, you're a female, I'm a male, and we're friends, and then you say to me, Kgothi, there's a huge GBV problem. Then I take it and I make it personal. This is, by the way, people, if you're listening, this is an example. And then I take it, I make it personal, and I say, yeah, you know, I'm one of the few South African males who are not, I'm forward thinking, whatever. Then you have every right to say, this is not about you. But there's a huge issue in South Africa, and currently it's GBV. Why are you making this about yourself? So yes. Exactly. So I feel like sometimes, actually a lot of the times in South Africa, and I'm pretty sure this is something that other countries face, but the topic here right now is South African politics. We miss the point, because when something is highlighted, we say there's a huge issue, the issue being XYZ. People take it, they make it personal. It's like, wait, whoa. There's...
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think, so just to circle back to Julius Malema, I think you need a politician like him.
Yeah.
We need him. And I'm so glad that he left the ANC, because he seemed, I don't know, he was very radical when he was still part of the ANC, but I don't know, he's way more radical now that he has his own party, and you need leaders like that. And in actual fact, we need another Julius Malema, you know? We need another party that's going to challenge the EFF, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
You need challenges.
Yeah.
And I think with the DA, they used to be like known as a party that only ever challenged the ANC. They didn't really have many other mandates.
Yeah.
Like, I used to hear, oh, well, they're really good at, like, bringing up the problems with the ANC and what they're doing wrong, but what are they actually going to do for us?
Precisely.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that was interesting, because John Steenhuisen was the chief whip at that time. And John Steenhuisen was always in their faces and always questioning everything. But now that he's obviously the leader of the party, I don't really see that much coming out of him, you know what I mean? So... But you're right, you really need a challenger. That's like the purpose of opposition parties, is to bring some accountability to the ruling party. And that's very important. And I think this idea that, okay, the EFF is going to come into power this election I think it's a bit crazy. I mean, maybe both of us are wrong and they're going to come into power. Maybe we're the ones that are crazy, but like everything that I've seen is saying, look, the landscape's going to stay the same, or it's going to stay similar. I don't know, so it's interesting, but I just keep hearing the same thing on and on, like, oh, the EFF, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to bring it up, because just from what I've heard, because like I said, I have some distant family who are trying to move if that's the case. And I'm like, but just look, and, you know, look at the stats and look at the polls and look at all the outcomes and then see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, precisely, yeah. I think another thing that's going to work in ANC's favor is the mere fact that the South African government has taken Israel to the International Court of Justice. And one thing that's going to work against a lot of parties, including the DA, is the mere fact that they're not supporting that. And if you Exactly. And if you look at the history of South Africa, not so long ago, like 1994 is just like, you know, just the other day.
Yeah, the 90s are just gosh, I mean, I was only born in 2000, so it's crazy.
Exactly.
I think it was just before that.
It was just a few years before that.
Yeah.
And that's when South Africa gained its democracy. So
Yeah.
it touches a nerve for a lot of South Africans that what happened in South Africa is happening in another part of the world. In actual fact, even way worse. Right? So I think these elections that we are heading into might... Listen, okay, people, when they cast their votes, it's always an emotional decision. But I think this one is going to be a bit way more emotional.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the worst time to be a political party in South Africa and not support South Africa in the South African government in what it's doing, right?
Yeah.
And two parties that will gain out of this is the ruling party, the ANC, and the EFF.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Yeah. And just before you answer, the person we were thinking of, Dan Corder, that's his name. Dan Corder.
That's him,
Yeah,
yes.
Dan Corder.
That's him.
Yeah. And
I love watching him.
right?
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah. And some of the things that he says, I'm like, yes, I was trying to say that. That's, yes.
Yeah. He's really good.
He's good, yeah, he's really good.
And he puts it in a way that's like so relatable and easy to understand. Like if you watch his videos, you're like, okay, cool. He like summarizes everything really nicely, and you're like, okay, now I know where I stand. You know?
Yeah. Have you seen his girlfriend or partner?
Yes,
or
she's
whatever?
also on TikTok. Eh?
Yeah, also on TikTok. They complement each other. Eh?
They're so nice together,
Yeah.
honestly.
They honestly complement each other.
And he's really good. Like he takes everything and he steps back and he does it from an unbiased point of view, and it's really nice to see that.
Yeah, 100%. I hope one day I get to work with him. I don't know, like whatever.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have any opinion on Musi Maimane? I had a lot of hope.
Me too. So, I mean, obviously, I feel like his party, it's called it's called Build One, right? South Africa.
Build One South Africa, but yeah, Bossa.
Yeah, Bossa.
Yeah. Which
is also a name of a burger place, so that's very confusing. And they do really good prices on Monday. In Joburg, I don't know if you get it in Rustenburg.
No, I don't. We don't get no.
You don't know Bossa,
No,
honestly.
Don't know Bossa.
For us in Germany, we're like Bossa, or you mean Bossa? Like which one? So obviously, when he was with the DA, I thought there was a lot of promise for the DA with him running it. But recently, I just feel like he hasn't really been in the news. He hasn't really been... Like, I just haven't seen him. And that's a problem. I mean, I saw with Dan Corder's video as well that everyone just wonders where he's gone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a worry because he is trying to build something. So the fact that people just don't know what he's up to, and the fact that he has a party or he has a movement rather, is kind of a bit of a worry. But I still really like him.
Yeah.
But I haven't really, like I say, I just haven't really seen him. And maybe, we're so used to in South African politics seeing a lot of people in the news for probably not the right reasons.
Yeah.
And maybe he just flies under the radar since he's left the DA. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't know what your thoughts are.
At some point, and I remember telling you, at some point, I saw him as a potential answer to our current problems and the kind of leaders that we have in our country. Despite him being well spoken, I also think he's well read. I think he's got great people skills to a certain extent. And I think those three things, amongst many other things, are needed to run a country, whatever. And I've been listening to a lot of his interviews, but like I said, I really like listening to political leaders on podcasts, because God is down, one.
Yeah, 100%.
Two, usually with podcast hosts, majority of the time they ask the political leaders to explain, like, dumb it down for my listeners. Where on the news they get really technical, and it's like, yeah, okay. Majority of people don't understand what you're saying, which that's why I say. So I've listened to him on podcasts, and I'm like, I'm intrigued, right? Which obviously then led me to being a Bossa member.
Yes.
I did share that with you.
So you're more, like, you know more about it than me.
Yeah. Because, after, like, one podcast interview, I was intrigued. I was like, where could you potentially take us? But here's the thing with, like, someone like Musi Maimane. I think he needs to be... I was honestly hoping, right? That at some point, and I'm not implying that I am pro-ANC, but I was hoping that at some point he would eventually just join the ANC, right? Because then I feel like he would be able to exercise what he believes in there, because obviously they are way more powerful.
They have influence.
They have influence.
Yeah.
They have the people, and I think the ANC would be able to welcome him back into society, right? And I think my issue is that, okay, you are arguably a great leader, but the things that are against you currently is that you don't have many followers, one, and this is in no particular order, yeah. Two, I don't know, the media doesn't follow you around, which is very important.
Definitely.
Very, very important. Three, I don't know, man. Like, your time at the DA, people kind of like just lost faith in you. And I think he just needs a turning point. And I know for a fact, okay, it wouldn't be a good idea for him to join the ANC, but because he's obviously started a party. That's why I was really disappointed when he started a party.
Even though you're a member now.
Pardon?
Even though you're a member now.
I remember what?
No, even though you're a member now.
Remember
you're
what?
a member.
A member. I heard remember. I'm like, remember what?
No, a member.
Yeah. I was.
I'm just joking with you.
Yeah. No. Go for it. And I don't know. I'll continue listening to him, because when he speaks, he does like spark something. I'm like, I don't know. If I was the ANC, personally, I'd take him and be like, yo, dude, shut down your party, right? You are a project for us. In the next X amount of years, we want you to be the president. Boom.
Yeah, that would be an incentive.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think he would do it, though?
Nah, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
I don't think he would.
I think the ANC is too old-fashioned for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he spent too much time, criticizing the ANC. Obviously, you have to as a opposition. But like, my question to you is, do you think he would have an action essay? Obviously, that's a place where a lot of former DA members go.
I think him and Mashabo, they would butt heads a lot.
Yeah.
I think Mashabo is also quite old-fashioned. Because, if you listen to Musi Maimane, he's like forward. He's like, we need to move forward. Even like in terms of technology, like... I think I could be wrong. I think in my money's head, we should be on the level of like China in terms of like technology and stuff, like we should be ahead, which he has a fair point, because
Yeah.
I think sometimes, so I often question, like, why are we so behind? We have all the resources. Why? Make it make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts, Laura.
No, I agree with you. Those are interesting thoughts
Yeah.
for sure. I feel like it's a shame that he's kind of dropped off the scene,
Yeah.
and that going into the election, we kind of don't even know where he's standing. Or, I mean, he's always mentioned, like, if I watch political videos about the 2024 election, he is mentioned, you know. They do bring up like his movement. I think he calls it a movement, right?
Yeah, he refers to
Yeah.
it as a movement. I think you're
Yeah.
right, yeah.
But I think the consensus is just that, look, that's not a viable option at the moment because of, you know, the voting numbers that are needed to make a change.
Yeah.
But I think for one, Herman Mashaba with his party, it's a very interesting party. I don't know if you've been following.
I have.
I think he's quite interesting with his views because, like, he's obviously, his party's on the left side, a leftist party, but his views on, like, the death penalty,
He's
and
very
things like
right,
that.
eh?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's interesting. Like, compared to what I thought you were going to be like, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a very weird point in our like timeline.
It is,
just-
it is.
I just don't know, and I've spoken to people, you know, I've had conversations with people that I'm around, like, okay, you know, what are we going to do? Like, what are the options? And a lot of people don't know. And I think the DAs align themselves a lot with, like, the Freedom Front Plus.
Oh, good grief.
You know what I mean? Like, I've seen a lot of comparisons, and they're
Yeah.
trying to get those votes, and I'm like, but that's not, like, shouldn't be your, you know, you made yourself a party that was like a left party, and they're very right.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know if that's like
No,
their...
you are very much
Yeah.
correct there. Very, very, very
like-
right, yeah.
Why are you contending for votes that from their target audience?
Listen, like, you can't... Listen, with the Democratic Alliance, you cannot for the life of me trust a party that is so desperate for answers. I mean, not answers. They're so desperate for numbers that each time it's time to campaign, they like switch views.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we will lean with this group. And then when they realize that that project didn't work at all, they turn again and it's like, we'll go this side. You can't rely on that party.
Yeah.
Because they're not clear in my opinion, and that's always like been the issue with the DM. Like, you guys are desperate.
But I get the impression that they're trying to act less desperate. I don't know if you are. They're trying to make it like, okay, we have these views, we don't care what the majority thinks. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I just get the impression that they're on this train and they're like, this is what we're going to do. If you're not on the train, then that's fine. It's like they're not trying to win popularity like they did, obviously, when Maimane was in the party. They're just like, okay, this is what we are. And by doing that, they're aligning themselves with, obviously, the votes of the Freedom Front Plus and everything. And I'm just like, I'm just confused.
You know,
I don't know if you agree.
I hear you. I see.
You
what
see
you're
where
saying.
I'm coming from.
I see where you're coming from. I think what you're saying is, I think what I'm saying and what you're saying do go together, because they, in my opinion, are trying too hard to not try hard, and
Yes.
therefore for me equals desperation.
Yes. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like, I think, like, if I'm trying to, like, caught you, right? And I played cool by being nonchalant. Are you
Yeah,
there?
but it's a
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought I
it's a
lost you.
thought process.
Yeah. Wait, what's the thought process?
So you're trying to be like not caring. You're trying to be not desperate.
Yeah.
But it's still a thought process that by trying to be like that, you're going to get something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Listen, I am really looking forward to these elections. This podcast was powered by Apple. Apple has allowed me to record, edit, and do everything I could possibly do with this podcast. And for that, we would just like to mention them.
Yeah, I mean, can't say I'm looking forward to them, but because I don't know what's going to happen, and I feel like none of us are, or a lot of us are not sure. But it's going to show us where we stand.
Yeah, I think overall, that being South Africa, USA, which country as well? Elections are happening like in a lot of in a lot of countries, and a lot of African countries as well.
Yeah,
This is the year. This is the year.
This year.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting, and I think overall I'm just looking forward to it. Just not only South Africa, I'm really curious. Like I want to see where it goes.
I know, the debates and everything.
Oof, I'm here for it.
I mean, even though Biden, in my opinion, is not the best debater, you know.
Yeah.
Watching those debates were not as interesting as Hillary versus Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're still going to be worth the watch.
Now, 100%. I'm going to be sending you links and be like, did you see this? Did you read this? Yo. Yeah.
Honestly, it's going to be... Because, I mean, we're basically already jumping the gun, but it will be Biden versus Trump.
Yeah, it will be Biden versus Trump. And, I think we can wrap it up, eh?
All right.
Do you feel satisfied? Do you feel like you said what you had to say?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the only question I would ask you is kind of what you feel about the current landscape or the current position that the UK is in terms of their politics, because I feel like maybe it's not something many people watch or care about as much, just because it's like USA is Trump and he comes with a lot of TV personality and it's entertaining. Maybe the UK people don't really watch as much or follow up with.
Yeah, so with the UK, I follow most of the news through this one TikTok page that I follow, which is like an official news page.
Okay.
Just forgot. But so I'm not completely up to date. But when you mentioned yesterday that you don't align with the Conservative Party, I was with you. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. But this might hit home for you. I think sometimes with so are you asking about the politics within the UK or just how the UK interacts with other parts of the world?
You can take it either way, but I think because we've both spoken about now Trump versus Biden. I mean, we haven't said, you said that, well, Trump is probably going to win that. And then we didn't really speak about the relationship between the Labour Party and the Conservatives and what that election outcome could be. Because there I feel like it's quite interesting. Labour is polling a lot, way ahead of the Conservatives at the moment. And what that kind of means, because last time they had the vote, Boris Johnson won with an overwhelming majority. because of certain principles that the Conservatives had and still have. So it's kind of, to me, there's been a massive shift in the way people are viewing politics there. I mean, Brexit happened and everyone was anti-immigration, and let's stay, like you said yesterday, let's worry about our own country first and put our own country at the top of everything. And now, with Labour polling ahead, it's kind of interesting just because, you know, everything seems to have changed, and the Conservatives have really shown that they're not popular anymore.
Yeah, the one thing I was gonna say is that from what I've seen, what's his name again? Sunak and Rishi Sunak. Yeah,
Sunak. Yeah.
It seems that people are really hurtful with him. From what I'm seeing, which makes things really interesting, because then I'm like, oh, okay, then what is it going to look like then, right? Because when he first came in, I mean, I in my head thought, oh, wow, I never thought I'd see this in the UK.
Really?
Well, I mean, he's Indian Prime Minister. I honestly never thought I would see a person of color.
Yeah.
Or has it happened? It hasn't happened, right?
No, it hasn't happened.
Exactly.
But at the moment, Scotland also has an Indian Prime Minister.
So in my head, I was like, oh, wow. And also, it was coming from the Conservative Party. I was like, what? It was really like, I thought like, oh, okay, things are...
But
Yeah, but...
It came off, he was the second choice.
Yeah.
You know, so like, obviously he's done a way better job than Liz Truss. It doesn't take a lot to do a better job than she did.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, I mean, she didn't even have, she didn't even have like a lot of time on that, on the hot seat, you know? So...
but yes, it is nice to see some diversity.
So, yeah, so I was coming from that angle. But, and I was like, okay, cool. Let's just remove his identity just for a few seconds. And I look at it and I say, he's just another leader from the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
Which makes things really interesting, because then now I think, okay, cool. The elections are coming up. And I think, like I said, this is going to be a very interesting year for many countries. So I don't think we'll see him again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you're right.
I honestly don't think he's not loved by many. Honestly, I saw a video the other day. I think someone on the street called him a wanker or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's common.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you're gone.
To be called a Tory is quite a big insult in the UK. Even though a lot of people do vote Conservative, I mean, they won the election.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the thing. That's my thinking as well. Is that like majority of people always vote Conservative.
Yeah.
And if it's gotten to the point where like they want him, I'm like, come on, there's no way that he's gonna win. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's just an interesting kind of country to look at, just because of the fact that they've changed prime ministers 3 times in a year, and they're supposed to be, you know, in the G8, and well, they are. I mean, but sometimes I don't think they act like they are. And like the economy has slowed down so much. It's just, to me, there's been such a shift in people's opinions, because, you know, from leaving the EU to now, I mean, there's a huge change in, okay, well, now Labour seems right, whereas, you know, because the Conservatives maybe had a clearer plan for no immigration and everything. I mean, the Rwanda deal, that's a crazy thing going on at the moment. The fact that they want to send immigrants to Rwanda. I don't know if you've seen much about that.
I saw an article. I didn't read it. Listen, one thing I can tell you about British people, I mean, you know them way better than I do, is that, Okay, or rather, let me say this. One thing about what's currently happening in that beautiful country of yours. Or actually, wait, no, you're Scottish.
I mean, I've got a British passport,
Okay,
UK
fair.
passport, so
Yeah,
I
fair.
guess I can't be associated with the whole place.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
They are in shambles from leadership, and obviously affecting economy. But for the past how many years, like I've been like looking at them and saying, people, what's going on? It's our style to be behaving like that. So I don't know. Things are in shambles, and I think for the most part, I feel like British people want to change, and they want to see it soon.
Yeah.
But tell me just briefly about them wanting to ship people to Rwanda.
I mean, so it recently went to the House of Lords, as far as I recall, and it was voted. They voted against that, so it's already met its first roadblock. But the idea is that immigrants will be sent to Rwanda, and they will await their, I don't know what the word is for it, but they'll await their changing of the status from, refugee to resident. They'll stay there and they'll see if they can get the new status, and then if not, they'll be able to apply for residency in Rwanda. Which is kind of crazy. There's a few things that, okay, so if they don't get the residency in the UK, then they can try get it in Rwanda, or they can go home, or, there's like a few things that this bill outlines. And I just find it quite crazy that that's an option, because Rwanda has a really bad human rights record. The foreign minister, what they call it? They don't call it what we call it. They call it it's like the foreign affairs minister, but they don't call it the same thing, I don't think. And her name was Suella Braverman, and she said her dream was to see foreigners leave on boats, and I thought that was quite a hectic thing to say. And Rishi Sunak removed her from his cabinet. But I saw a lot of people say, look, she was saying what the British people feel, and now we're definitely not going to vote Conservative. And I was like, that's quite interesting, because, maybe she was one of those people that appealed to the very far right type of wing that they actually need to focus on if they want to try and get any votes.
Yeah.
So anyway, this bill is, I don't know if it's actually going to work out. It just seems to me like quite a crazy deal that they've got in place with Rwanda.
Really? Now I'm going to look into the
look
politics
into
of, but also with Rwanda, is there an interview with Paul Kagame maybe addressing this or something? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't really know.
Okay.
But yeah, so they're going to await their status in Rwanda and await their trial. I don't know what the word isn't trial, but it's like if you're waiting to see if you can be let into the UK. So it's just, I don't know. It seems to me like a very crazy plan, and obviously a lot of left people disagree with it, because you're sending people to a place that, has a bad record for human rights. A lot of the times they don't even speak the language. It just seems to me like, it's quite crazy at the moment. Is all the words I can use to describe it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I'll have to, look into it, and you'll hear from me with regards to this, yeah.
Yeah, please do. It'd be nice to talk to someone about it, because it's very current. And it's very important because, I mean, for a long time they were with the EU, and the EU had certain regulations about, refugees, and that you couldn't do certain things or send them away. So now it seems like they've got a whole different plan.
I must say, we do it properly in South Africa. You'll never catch South Africa doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another avenue that we could talk about with regards to like illegal immigrants in South Africa, but you will never catch South Africa doing such harsh things.
Yeah, it is harsh.
Yeah, it's very harsh.
And I wonder if it's gonna, be one of the reasons for their downfall.
It will be. It will be for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. A lot of things have been the reason for the Conservatives Party's downfall. I mean, it's literally like going down. From Brexit to like so many things. Yeah.
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 I mean, it's just crazy that you're going to be living in a foreign... I mean, obviously, if you are seeking asylum, you'll be staying in a foreign country anyway. But, to be sent to Rwanda, to have your claims processed there, it just... Yeah, I don't know. It just... And I'm sure they can't get to all the claims quick enough, and people will be left there for a long time.
It's also weird because then what happens is that, okay, cool, you find yourself in the UK for whatever reasons you left your own country, and I bet most people it's because their countries are not like you move from one country and you're an alien there, and then that same country says no, go be an alien elsewhere.
Exactly.
It's it's horrible.
Exactly. And if they don't want to be in Rwanda and they don't get their claim processed in the UK or they're rejected, they'll have to go back. And how do they get back? I mean, is the UK going to pay for them to get back?
Also, will your home country take you back if you ran away? It's all these, it's layers upon layers.
Yeah, it just seems like displacing people even more.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting because that's one of the things at the moment that's trying to be put through, all of the different avenues, and before it gets to actually be,
Actually, let me do this quickly.
A bill.
Let me say UK Rwanda plan.
Sorry for going over the time.
No. What is that? What? Going over what is that?
I just find it like, yeah, it's crazy what's going on at the moment.
Oh, okay, cool. So I just searched it just now, just so that when I close my laptop and open, it's the first thing that I see.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Lara Key.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, always. Listen, if you can leave just a few words for the next guest, that would be nice, don't you think?
Okay.
Yeah. Anything.
Do you have anything? Do you have like a topic that you want to discuss on the next podcast?
Oh, no, it's not about that. It's just about like dropping anything. I mean, it could literally just be like, think before you vote or something. I don't know.
I mean, that is one. Definitely. I think people should do their research before the vote. And don't always just go with, oh, my parents did this, or my parents say that, or my family thinks this, because if you actually go and you do your own research, you might find that there's a lot of things your family doesn't even know.
Exactly. Avoid sentiment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You absorb everything from mainstream media, yes. I'm not saying go to fake news and take that in.
Logical thinking over sentiment.
Yes. And go to reliable sources, look at things, and if you think something's doesn't sound right, or it sounds like it could be a bit sensationalized, go and look and see, and do your own research before the vote.
Yes. And if you're brave enough, contact that party.
Yes, Exactly. Become a member of the party if you want.
Yes. Get a hold of them. Ask them questions.
Yes.
And if they can't
Exactly.
answer them, there's
Exactly.
a concern.
They are our reps. I mean,
Exactly. And
yeah. They are people. So I think that's...
I don't think one should be afraid to contact a party that they're interested in.
Exactly.
And saying, listen, I want to talk. And if they don't have time for you, then that's a call for concern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if they send somebody, or somebody replies to you, it probably won't be the leader, but somebody takes their time out to send you a message and say, look, have a look at this, or this is where we stand on this issue. I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think if you can vote, definitely vote. I think the next registration weekend is the 3rd of Feb or something. The last one.
The very last one.
The last one, 3rd of Feb. So definitely do that as well. And also speak to people. I feel like politics is something everyone's scared to speak about. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't really like politics. Like, I don't bother myself with that. But politics bothers itself with you.
Hallelujah.
Like,
I'm so glad that you said that,
Yeah, it affects you. And you might think maybe even US politics doesn't affect me. If Donald Trump comes into power, or whoever the leader is in the US, it does affect us, and does affect our trade.
Exactly.
It does affect our relations with the rest of the world.
Precisely.
It's very important that we stay up to date with certain things in politics. I don't mean fight with your friends and go out and just debate, because everyone has different opinions, and you probably won't have the same opinions on everything. But definitely it should be something people are more open, about speaking. I wish people were more open about it. I wish it wasn't such a taboo topic to speak about, especially in South Africa. I feel like people are like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to know about it. And then it stops you being informed for the next election.
Exactly, because I mean, just look at what just happened just now. With I wasn't that aware with regards to the Rwanda plan. So literally us talking about politics, we opened one door and I was like, oh wait, shit, I didn't know that. So like I said, I just saw the article on on Al Jazeera, and I was like, I'm not going to look into that. But now I'm intrigued. Now I'm going to go back, because when it comes to news, I look at Al Jazeera, whether it's on their website or on TV or whatever, on social media, it doesn't matter. But I just saw the article. It said something UK something deport, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. But as you mentioned, people who say oh no, I don't really look into politics, and I say, well, okay, cool. Let's start over here. You've been complaining about the price of eggs, the price of petrol. Why do you think that's the case? Why?
Yeah.
Why? And they say, I don't know. I'm like, no. There's an answer to that. Why? And I'm like, exactly. So you'll run away from politics, but politics will be like, hey, buddy, let's talk. Exactly. So,
and it's so intertwined with other things like economics and environmentalism and everything. And because the politicians are the ones usually setting the laws or making the laws and setting the precedent for everything in the country.
Literally, Alice.
So, politicians could make it that we can't even talk on Discord. I had a friend in a country that couldn't even talk via Discord. So it really does affect something as small as, okay, I couldn't be on this podcast. I couldn't talk to you.
Exactly. And I find myself in a country where freedom of speech is allowed. I have a podcast. I'm able to talk my shit on a podcast, put it on a public platform, and I'm able to advertise it on Instagram. And dude, I wouldn't be able to do that in that. I'm not going to mention the country. That country in Asia that is not South Korea.
Yep, I think we know the one.
Yeah.
We won't name names, but I think...
Yeah, we won't name
most
names.
of us will
but
know.
It's not South Korea.
That's... Yeah, we're lucky. So... it really does affect us on a daily basis. And it's people that say that are just like, really just try and see where it actually affects you, because they're also one of the first people to complain. And then you're like, but you just said you don't care about politics. But they're like, no, that's not politics, that's the reality. I'm like, no, but you see, politics and politicians influence this and our reality.
Exactly. And your disengagement or your engagement also affects us.
Exactly.
Man. Lara, start a podcast, please. I'm encouraging you. Please.
I know whatever we say is not always right, and I think that's a worry about coming on a political podcast. So I just want to mention that.
Listen, I knew we could
yes,
talk about this, and listen, the premise of my podcast is not to be correct, right?
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's like, if you go on a political podcast, just be true to what you know. Obviously, if someone came up to me and said, look, here are some other things maybe you don't know about, and it might change my opinion, or, I'm open to debating and learning things.
Yeah.
I think I've changed over the last few years about certain things, and there's a lot of things I don't know, I still have to learn. So I try to stay up to date, but there's certain things I don't know. So coming on here, I was just like, let me go with what I know and what I believe in, and just be true to what I know. But obviously there's always going to be some room for, not negotiation, but some debate, and maybe I'll change my mind on certain things, or I'll learn new things about a party, and that will change my overall decision making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you. Yeah, no, definitely. My lovely, I think let's wrap it up, because I have a whole hour plus the 40 minutes from yesterday to get through, so I can drop this before Thursday.
Before Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday's tomorrow.
I know, before Thursday? So it goes up before Thursday. We're talking about Wednesday.
Yeah, so today is Wednesday. So I have...
Gosh, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I really enjoyed it though, and I could go on for, days and days.
Yeah, that's my thing. I could go on. I literally could go on. But in my head, I'm like, wait, who's editing this? I'm like, oh wait, shit, me. I don't have an editing team.
I'm sorry. But if you have season 3, let me know and we'll carry on. Hopefully it'll be after, well, not hopefully, but maybe it'll be after the election, and we'll...
Oh no, 100%. I think you are a family of the podcast, so yeah. You have a...
I have to be on every season now.
You know what? Yeah, you have a seat here, you have a bed here, you have a mug here. This is your home.
Okay, send me a photo of that mug. I want to see.
Yeah, I don't have a mug, Lara.
It better have my name on it and everything.
We haven't gotten to the point where I make merch. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, but I better get at least a free mug. I'll pay for the rest of the merch because obviously I want to support you. But I need my free mug, okay?
You get a free shirt. Or do you want the mug? Is the mug that important?
No, either is fine.
Okay, cool.
Either is fine.
All right.
Okay, cool. But I really enjoyed chatting, and yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Me too, and I really do appreciate the fact that you're always just keen to do this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I'm keen for the next season, and I'm also really excited to see where this goes and to listen to the other episodes.
Yeah. Thank you for your support.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
You've managed to reach the end. This podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts, which now will be available on YouTube Music as well. Have yourself a good time. Take care of yourself. And if you feel the need to reach out. I'm on Instagram at It's All Smooth with Kgothi. That's KGOTHI. It's All Smooth with Kgothi. And we can have a chat. Or you could potentially be a guest. Who knows? Alright, folks. Take care.